Yep, yeah, recording started. All right, mate. Here we are. This is our podcast.
They don't want to be locked into a house or an apartment or some space.
Got to follow the social distancing rule.
More social distancing keeps more people healthy.
It's like, oh, you guys are good at talking shit. Why don't you just do a podcast? As soon as you try to do a podcast, we sound like a bunch of muppets. Hey, boys. Are we bringing energy this week? Bringing a bit of energy this week? What?
Yeah, mate. COVID-free. I'm up
COVID-free?
Yep.
Good, man. No, man flu's gone?
It's still sort of lingering. This has been one of those ones that just won't piss off.
I was happy to hear it wasn't COVID, but I was a little bit disappointed just because I thought it would be good for the ratings to interview.
It would have been great.
COVID-y.
But then it just would have been. I wouldn't have been much Ray at all. You know, I would have tried to give you some insights, but I would have been pretty filthy about the whole situation. So no one wants that.
Well, we had a message from one of the listeners, and a biker one, myth. And when I said, when we did the show last week, we promoted it by saying maybe Jones has got COVID. She made a good point. She said that let's hope Jonesy tests negative. Without the anchor, you drift like a COVID. So, like,
mate, your internet's shit.
Right.
I couldn't hear you.
Oh, is it?
It all broke up when you were telling us.
Oh, fuck's sakes. Let me.
Andorra. Mate, you got to find an apartment near the tower.
I'm surprised we're still here this week. I thought last week would have sunk us. I thought that it was just it was such a tough listen for a lot of people last week. I thought that was the death of us after the internet debacle last week, and it looks like we're just heading straight back for that one.
But it cut out right as you've called for the platform. You're on your stage, and you're getting to the juicy bit of the line, and then bang, bang. Got about 4 words.
What's wrong with it? It works fine. Like, I'll watch Netflix.
Right. You sound fine now. Anyway, massive show, boys.
Yeah, what have we got lined up? We've got fun up today, haven't we?
We're going to be talking about conspiracy theories. That's why I'm super excited. One of my favorite shows growing up was Unsolved Mysteries. And I think it's made a comeback on Netflix. They've done some 2020 editions of it. But the Unsolved Mysteries show back in the 80s, it used to shit scare me as a kid. It was like,
this Ripley's Believe It or Not? You know?
No. Ripley's Believe It or Not had like 8-foot blokes and fat dudes that could get shot in the guts.
Yeah, and at the end, you'd always surmise it like, is it true? And then everybody like, probably not.
Oh, the dude who played Superman.
Yeah, it was. It was him. And it was always that red, the old like red Impala car in the intro.
Yeah. No, it was way better than that. This was Warwick. No, what was his name? He's an iconic guy. Mike Whitney. Yeah. This guy had this chilling voice from Unsolved Mysteries, and his intros as a kid, like, it'd always be on at 11:30 at night. And some of the stories were like, you know, missing people, ghosts. They loved a good ghost story, and all it was some drunken dude had a tape recorder and, you know, heard a chair rattle, and it's like, ooh. So then I remember one story. It was this family that bought this haunted house, and literally, like, you know, the AM FM radio knob was going back and forth, and they're like, couldn't explain that. And then one time the dad come home and thought the house was on fire, and he burst inside and he was just hallucinating. They might have been on drugs, but the way they recreated it as a kid, like, I just shit myself. Like, it was awesome.
This was 11:30 at night as a kid, because I remember 11:30 at night we had a channel called Sky One, and that's when about 11:30. That's when they would just put on these, like, as a 14-year-old or whatever. That's when the soft porn came on about 11:30 at night. So you were over there watching Unsolved Mysteries while every New Zealand kid was watching this soap opera that just sort of descended into some kind of soft porn.
You always knew you're always up for the good shows when the Good Night turned up. Remember the Good Night Kiwi? Come on at like 8 o'clock.
Oh yeah, and it'd send the kids to bed.
Send the kids to bed, and the soft porn would come on. Yeah.
Off you go,
time to
kiddies.
go to bed. here's something for the dads, like, and it'd just segue into that, and then it would just be this guy with a filthy moustache driving along with aviators on, and you just knew if you suffered through another 40 minutes of bad like soap, you'd get into some soft porn.
I see our mate Kanye West is running for President Bills.
Well, he said that he was going to do it in 2024, and then he's obviously had a skinful on 4th of July celebrations, and he's just chucked it out saying, going for it this year. Apparently he can still do it. Obviously the Democratic and the Republican parties have their nominees, but he can do it as an independent through a state that still allows selection or whatever at the moment. So he's going to have a crack, Kanye. He's got some traction from Legend of Balance segment, I think.
Yeah, but he can't do it in 10 states or something.
No, he's got to find a state.
He's too late with the paperwork.
Oh. See, I've got a conspiracy theory on this. I know we're touching on this is going to be a central theme of the show, but I think that Trump's put him up to it, because all that's going to happen is the people that were like, oh, can't really warrant voting for Trump, like I don't hate the world that much, but I don't really want to vote for senile Joe Biden. They're like, oh, I'll just chuck my vote at Kanye. So what ends up happening is Trump doesn't really lose any votes, and it just takes away all of Biden's votes, and Kanye and Trump are in cahoots, and it's just a part of the big conspiracy.
That'd be a pretty rogue vote, eh? Like separate of those two parties in America, and then Kanye doesn't like linger in the middle there. It'd be like, oh, not sure if I want to support not sure if I want to support gays and liberals and like just be modern and progressive. I don't really want to support Trump either. I'll go with Kanye. He's a good singer, not bad shoes.
You know, they always dig up dirt like to bad mouth you in the press, and they do those campaign ads and all that sort of stuff. Imagine the content they've got on Kanye.
It doesn't even matter anymore. It's almost like a good thing. If people in America now, if you bring up dirt on someone, they go, "Yeah, well, that's just because he's a real good American." He's just
stands up for what he believes in.
He's just an everyday guy. We all got our skeletons, so that's why I'm going to vote for him, because I can relate to him, because he bloody touched up some waitress somewhere.
But when we had him on, we didn't have to dig that hard to find some pretty good dirt. Like when he went to TMC and said slavery was a choice. I mean, that's a tough one to sort of get around, mate.
I'm excited. I'm looking forward to this. When Trump got in, I remember being like actually like just in a fog of like genuine sort of like despair, like, oh my God, what is this world coming to? But then it's just turned out to be 4 great years of entertainment. I mean, okay, at the expense of a lot of things, a lot of good things, but like,
yeah, I mean, Doomsdayers were saying, well, this is going to be World War III. We are on the cusp. And then 6 months later, he's high-fiving Kim Jong, and you're like, oh, hang on. Well, he's put the cold water on this one. Yeah, that's not.
Have you heard of the Doomsday Clock? Have you heard of when they set it at 11:59 or whatever? What is it when if Kanye gets in and he squares off with Uni or any sort of major dictators, and they go head to head, and you send in Kanye to do your negotiations? What's the Doomsday Clock looking like?
Oh, I think absolutely juicy fruited. Like he might have to get Kim K, the first lady, to step in and just calm the whole situation down with her sisters and her mum.
Just come with real cool heads.
Yeah,
what do you reckon?
Cool heads.
What song's going to step into an inauguration plane? Niggas in Paris.
You might cut out again.
Probably with this.
Yeah. So what are some of the big conspiracy theories? Like I was saying off air, I remember with 9/11 was one of the biggest ones I'd said in my lifetime, where after all that happened, all these little underground YouTube videos come out about, the real story. And one of them I remember seeing it was a couple. The main thing was people saying that it was a controlled explosion when the buildings fell down. And one of the things that stood out was when it first happened, I remember seeing a video that said the guy who designed the Trade Center, when he was watching it collapse, he went on and did an interview on CNN or something, and he said, I can't fathom what I'm watching here, because that steel was designed to withhold temperatures up to 2,000 degrees. And they said jet fuel can only burn up to 1,300 or whatever. So he said, structurally, what I'm saying, it doesn't make any sense. This shouldn't happen. And as soon as he did the interview, the next day they had to take that interview down and kill off like all records of it or whatever. And then he was told not to speak publicly about any of it after that. So like when I saw this in the video, I'm like, oh, that stinks. And then there was another one about these black boxes. Like they're saying, you know, in the crash site, you know, there was 4 black boxes and they never recovered them. And I was like, oh, what are they trying to hide here? You know, what was on those black boxes? But then I was saying, Buell's like, I Googled it all, and yeah, they found the black boxes. They just one of them was burnt to the shizen, so they couldn't like get anything off it. And then the other 3, they reckon, yeah, they had them and played some of the stuff to some of the victims' families, and so that theory is bullshit. But then there's also ones about the 2 weeks before the towers went down, there was apparently an unscheduled fire drill, because they're saying, okay, if they're going to demolish this thing, you know, how'd they get the explosions in the explosives in there? They reckon, yeah, there was a 2-hour unscheduled fire drill where both buildings had to be evacuated. So they're going, oh, well, that's when they did it. And then there was links to the security company that was involved with protecting the 2 buildings. They had links to Bush somehow. And then they tried to sue for insurance for both buildings. They wanted $2 billion, but they settled it, I think, for 500 mil. And they messed with the policy a year out. So there's all this shit. But, yeah, like we were saying before, it's pretty extreme if you know, what are the motives? What are the benefits? Who's benefits out of something like that?
I was going to say that. Like, what was the motive of them doing it? Was that so they can go excuse to go to Afghanistan? Yeah,
yeah, and they wanted to take all the oil and things like that.
I'm real anti. You know, I'm very wary of pretty much every conspiracy theory I've ever come across. But there are a couple of things, especially in that one, where you go, it's at least a strange coincidence. You know, it's at least like a thing that you go, that is pretty weird, that those things do add up. But I mean, the rest, I mean, your other major ones, you've got obviously the moon landing, the Earth, the flat earthers.
Well, do you think the moon landing is legit, Bills?
Yeah, I think I'm a believer in hope. Like, it's something, you know, we've travelled to the moon. And I choose to believe that. But there is a lot of fishy details around it. A lot.
The flag was the big one. Did you remember seeing, like, on the moon landing, the flag was waving?
Yeah.
And there's no atmosphere in space. So there's obviously no wind.
Yeah. And the footprints.
Yeah. And then the other one was when they videoed it, they said they had the capabilities to do much better quality video when they landed. But it was that grainy shit. You know, it's almost.
You got to give them a break on the moon. You know, like they're not going. It's not like
reception's not great out there. I get
exactly. It. A live feed.
It's like my internet.
Yeah,
I'm on the moon at the moment, but you know so if they filmed it in a studio, that was what? When was it? 1970 to 67.
69.
69. It'd be pretty easy now with current technology with in the movie industry to say, no, that's bullshit. That was a studio. Look, it is. There'd be something, be a string floating around or something. But as bad as it does look, it still can't prove that it was in a studio.
So why don't they go back and just do it properly in high def and just go, okay, it's almost like Lance Armstrong coming back. I'll prove the doubters wrong. You know, go back to the moon and stick a proper. Yeah, well, that's right. But stick a flag in and go, well, no, we did it. When we did it again, just to shut you all up.
But have they not been back? Have they not been back to the moon since?
I think the Chinese and the Russians, haven't they? Didn't they?
Or were they just jumping on board like, oh yeah, we also went? But
Well, they don't. They basically don't have a space program in the States anymore. Like rocket ship they sent up the other week. That's the first American rocket ship that's gone to space for like 30 years or something. They've just been jumping on the Russians and getting a free ride. So it's like Uber to the satellite. And they just go after the Russians.
Well, then it begs the question: what was the point of it? Think of how much it cost.
It was just a space race. It was just the Cold War. It was just the end of. It was just a pissing competition. They were in a space race they were in a nuclear arms race, and they were in a final frontier race with the Russians, and they just wanted to get their bloody measuring tape out and say we got
go where no man's gone before. Yeah, go where no man's gone before. That was exactly the motive.
Okay, it's like if you can put someone on the moon, then you could probably blow us up if you wanted to.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's along those lines. Like, don't fuck with us, mate. We just put them out on the moon.
Can't they spend the money then on massive rockets and just go have a look at our tool?
Do you know what it reminds me of? It's like, you know, the movie Madagascar and the penguins. The penguins want to go to Antarctica, so they escape from the zoo and all that, and then they eventually get to Antarctica and they get off the ship and they're like, well, this sucks. That's probably what happened when they went to the moon. They got there like, probably don't need to come back here, I suppose.
Fuck do we do now? Can't do anything. Bloody flags don't even move.
Take a photo, Buzz, and we'll piss off.
Well, we got onto the whole conspiracy thing on the back of that Ghislane Maxwell getting arrested on Thursday.
Is that how you say it, Ghislane? I thought because I took one look at her name when you said it, and all I could think of was the Gazzalo, the climb in Italy. It's basically spelled the same as one of the climbs in Tour of Lombardy, and so I assumed she was. She's called Ghislane.
It's Ghislane. Yeah, well, she's not going to last in prison. I mean, if Epstein got done, they're saying that the old hanging when they've gone through to the third umpire, it doesn't quite add up. Where his vertebrae snapped and that, like people are going, not sure why those two security guards were asleep, and they're saying
the footage went missing.
The camera cut out for a few minutes.
Yeah, exactly. You're taking the piss, but she's in deep strife because
if she goes the way of Epstein, we know then, you know, because if she must know everything he knows, then. I mean, surely they wouldn't be that brash to just go repeat. You know, we'll do it a bit different this time. But
she's claiming, her lawyers are claiming that she's got immunity from Epstein's deal. So Epstein he fessed up and went to jail, and she was granted immunity through that deal. So that's what the lawyers are claiming.
She's got immunity because I think that they've recorded everything. Apparently that Lolita Express plane was decked out with cameras and audio recording equipment. That island that he had, same thing. So I reckon they've got footage of Clinton. Prince Andrew reckons he doesn't sweat. I reckon he's fucking sweating right now. And they've got, Bill Gates went on a flight with him. I reckon he's in the clear. I couldn't see Bill Gates. I could not see Bill Gates in amongst.
Nah. Doesn't seem like him, mate.
Imagine he character. He'd be breaking the ice with like, want a game of ping pong?
Should we have pinball and...
Yeah. But yeah, there'd be a few people. Well, there's photos of Ghislane Maxwell coming out with Kevin Spacey. I mean, he's got prize. He's got prize. Like,
he got done, didn't he?
Yeah, he got done.
House of Cards, Kevin Spacey didn't they have to cancel the last season of that because it turns out he was a bit of a pest.
I hadn't watched House of Cards, and I started watching it a couple of nights ago. I was like, oh, it's supposed to be Kevin Spacey was in it. And I started watching it, and it's quite, but after like 3 episodes, I was like, I can't watch it. Look at him. Like, look at him. He is, it's horrible, eh?
So
great actor, though.
It poses a big dilemma then for the royal family. I mean, what do? I think the Queen's just got to snap ties. Just go, look, you know.
She already has, hasn't she?
Whenever you make a batch of scones, there's always going to be one that gets a bit fucking burnt. You know, just get rid of it.
Lemonade left.
Yeah. What I found interesting about this Maxwell lady, when you said, "Oh, I want to talk about her a second," I chucked her into Google, and you just been telling me about how she was the sort of the facilitator. She was grooming young women to be, you know, to then be part of Epstein's operation. And the first thing that came up was that she was a philanthropist, and like a philanthropist literally means like
Do good things.
Yeah, basically it's like a person who seeks to promote the welfare of others. And it doesn't sound like she's being a very good philanthropist.
No, she's a socialite, eh? But if you get her up in Wikipedia, like she's from a family of she's from a bad family, eh? So her old man, he was a nasty piece of work as well, and he escaped from Nazi concentration camp, I think. Basically, went to Britain. He's from Czechoslovakia. Started this these massive businesses and publication and all this stuff. But he was like a fraudster. They reckon he was a suspected spy. He was stealing hundreds of $1 million from his own companies and all sorts of things. And then they found him dead, like floating in the middle of the Atlantic. They reckon he fell overboard from his super yacht. And then the brothers were just as bad, and they did the same thing. And then it just spiraled out of control from an early age for old Ghislane, or whatever her name is. Ghislane.
Well, she went missing. She was the world's most wanted woman for 12 months, and the whole time she was just in like the outer skirts of New York. She just bought a bit of property in cash. Apparently, they knew she was there for 12 months and just sat on it while they could build a case.
And then they went in with like 120 armed forces, and busted the door down and grabbed her while she was having a cup of tea on the back terrace. Well, they could have just knocked on the door.
Well, she had a pilot's license, and there was conspiracy theories going around that she had a submarine license. Like, when you think about it, like, there's also there's a show called Hunted. I don't know if you've heard of it. I've only just discovered it. It's all about. They get 12 Britain locals, and you have to dodge the authorities for 28 days. That's the challenge. And I was oh shit!
So they have to commit a crime to start with. So do they have to?
No. It's just a social experiment, and they use the top people to come after you.
Use of of law enforcement resources.
Yeah, exactly. There's all these crimes going on, and they just mute those calls, and then the producer dictates, all right, we're going to go shoot this scene now. But it's interesting what trails you leave behind when you're trying to escape, like the littlest things. Like, obviously, if you want to get away, so this episode's turned into advice for would-be criminals, but don't have your phone on you for starters. That's the first thing you got to get rid of.
Card though, right? I mean, this is a classic Jack Reacher move that you turn the phone off, but apparently if you have to snap the SIM card, they can still trace it when your phone's off.
No, Reacher puts it in like a steel mailbox or something, so it gets no reception.
Yeah, so no signal.
It's on that, man.
But then why wouldn't you, if you want to throw them, why don't you just give your phone to someone else and put them on a bit of a goose chase? Strap to a dog, or strap your SIM to a seagull. A
little bit of bread.
Yeah,
he's out at sea.
Marine license.
Get the boats out.
He's out the front of the fish and chip joint. So, this Ghislane Maxwell, if she really wanted to get away with it, I mean, she was away for 12 months, but you literally need to sever all ties and don't tell anyone anything. Don't make any calls. You literally have to go off the grid. Now, if there's one guy, I think in the time I met in cycling that could do this, that's Swain Tuft, Bules.
Yeah.
If you committed an heinous crime, is that the word? Heinous.
An
anus crime, that's something else. That's warehouse.
You got your head stuck on Epstein.
The anus crime, we stay away from those.
If you approach Swain, say you did something, Bules, and you'd fucked up big time. If you went to Swaino, do you reckon he'd turn you away, or he would literally within 24 hours come up with a plan and get you off?
Mate, he'd look out for the boys, eh? He's loyal. He's loyal like that. So if you went to him and you were like, mate, I've done a real heinous crime. I need to get out. I need to get off the grid ASAP. He'd get you off the grid like a blink of an eye. You go straight out his back door in bare feet, and you go straight up the mountain. Yeah. Firstly, you'd be like, leave your shoes. Leave your shoes behind. We're going barefoot. You go straight to the top, and then you just keep walking. You just keep
You know,
walking.
you stop for an ice bath on the way. You do a cold adaptation ice bath on the way, and then you'd be like, we just need to get grounded, and then you'd be
Okay.
away.
So first problem,
Right.
and this is
Gonna be
what
a
I
long
learned
trip.
from that show. They send sniffer dogs to go through your old jocks and everything and get the scent. So that dog, they're going to go, okay, who's last spotted talking to Swano? They're going to get the scent and they're going to hunt you down. How do you fix that?
Cover yourself in.
Yeah.
No, there is a thing that I saw that they do for dogs. They what do they do? They
You rub yourself in
Dog-
dried meats, I think.
What?
no. That's just that attracts bigger dogs. It's this might have even been on a Jack Reacher book, so it's probably bullshit. But it's
I could just see the news report. Sam Billy was arrested today after 1 week on the run, found covered in biltong. Sorry, George.
You can throw the dogs. You can throw the dogs if you spray yourself in something. I don't know what it is, but they basically it musks you. But another cyclist who I think would be equally hard to track because I've tried many times is a New Zealand guy, Tom Scully, riding for Air. He's also completely off the grid.
That's why they call him Scud. His nickname's Scud. Tom Scully's nickname is Scud. He's like, you're fine, and then all of a sudden, fuck, Scud's here.
Really?
That barbecue we were talking about where we had to take the 2 carries and stuff a few weeks back. So I hadn't seen Scud for like 3 months. They're cutting out again.
Yeah.
A little bit.
I'll just sit quietly. You guys talk amongst yourselves.
No, keep going.
Keep going with Scud.
Yeah, so then Scud, hadn't seen him, hadn't heard from him, sent me a text saying, I'll give you a call tomorrow. 6 weeks later, I still hadn't got a call. And I went to this barbecue and I was like, fucking Scud! Hey, man. Hey, bro. Where'd you come from?
Been here for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
He's a legend. Such a legend.
Yeah, but it's a good show. I've only seen
Do
one.
you think you could get away? Do you think knowing what you know now, you could get away with murder?
Well, I don't know if I could get away with it. I reckon I could. Yeah, I'd probably go close. Like, I reckon a lot of people stuff up one, they find the body. Or no, first of all, if you're going to do it, you got to plan it. Like, the ones that get caught are the ones that haven't thought about it for a while.
Do you know, have you listened to The Teacher's Pet? Have you listened to this series about the rugby league brothers? And he becomes a teacher. He was a good rugby league player, and he was playing in Sydney maybe. And he ends up becoming a teacher. Yeah, Manly. And he ends up falling for one of his students and hires her as a babysitter and starts running around with her, but just his wife's just a massive problem for him. So he tops her, but he's in with the police. He's in with because the police are all big rugby league fans, everything like that, and he just gets away with it. And no one ever asked any questions. He didn't think about it. He didn't do any cover-in. Just said, "Oh, it's just arrogance. Got away with it." And about 10 years later, some asshole bloody started a podcast, or maybe 20 years later, it's just started a podcast. And uncovered it, asked a few questions, and everyone's going, yeah, that was pretty weird that no one thought that he might have murdered his wife. She just walked away. He said she just left and joined a religious cult. And
that old chestnut.
came back. Yeah. And then now that people started asking questions about it, and they go, this is pretty strange. So what's happened is the podcast has now been it's now been banned, I think, or some episodes have been banned so that it won't sway public opinion, and he's now being retrialed, but he's probably going to be done for, he obviously did it. Like, it's very clear he did it.
Imagine you said that the police, they're big rugby league fans. Imagine like killing someone and then the cops find you like, you're a cycling fan? You want this? You want a cap? Like,
yeah. A bottle? What's wrong with a bottle?
I got some gel. I got some expired gels in the cupboard.
Well, just on that, what about that bloke from Scientology? His missus went missing. The other one.
Oh,
David
the big dog,
Muskane or whatever his name is.
Yeah,
Mike Whitney.
Muscavin.
Scavin. Where's his missus gone? Like,
Apparently, he says she's still alive, living in the what do they call the temple? There's a massive temple, but it's called something ridiculous.
Mike Whitney.
how good is
Yeah.
the research on this show? People must tune in and just go, shit, these guys put in some work.
I've got
Every
the conspiracy theme this week actually leads really well into our Legend or Bellend.
yeah?
Yeah.
Detective George Bennett.
I want
We
to.
don't know where Mesquine's wife is. She's in the fucking temple. Which one was it?
Hey,
near the
Caitlin,
McDonald's.
what's that temple called?
Just up from the Maccas. You know the one.
You know the one? Your friend went there. Sally, I think. Sally.
Case closed. Good work, George.
Anyway, are we going to talk about today's LLB, or are we going to just keep talking
sorry,
about
mate. Sorry.
Kevin's missus?
Go
Live in the
detective.
temple, you know.
Take it away, Columbo.
Davis misses. All right. So anyway, today's guy, he's actually got a lot to answer for. This guy, today's Legend of Bellend. He's pretty well known. Actually, a lot of his actions have been sort of widely applauded and celebrated at the time. But it's he doesn't look so shit up when you put him through the lens of 2020. It's a bit like the slave traders. You know, they built statues of them because they were, you know, pioneers of their time or whatever. And now they in 2020 they go, oh, hold on, he wasn't actually a very good bloke. But yeah. Anyway, so he's come a long way since then. He's really got his shit together over the last sort of 2,000 years or so.
Who the fuck is it?
Today I think we should have a look at the God from the Old Testament. So I'm talking Old Testament God, real primitive. I mean,
I feel like I've just jumped in a DeLorean back to 1993 Sunday school.
Okay, so you'll be clued up on them. You'll be clued up on I'm talking about the real Old Testament God.
Okay,
I mean,
so,
Like
all right.
4,000 years ago.
he branched off. Then you had the Torah from the Jewish religion, then you had the Bible for Christianity, and then it turned into you had the Quran for out of the caves of Mecca for Islam. But we're going back to the original. So let's not sell him short. He was ahead of his time. He changed the game in terms of like the landscape of the gods. I mean, we've got to remember when we're judging this guy, when we're deciding who's a legend or a rebellion, we've got to understand where he's coming from, because he walked in at a time when every religion was running multiple gods. You know, you had Greek mythology, you had, you know, the pagan gods, you had the sort of look at like the Scandinavian gods. They had a god for everything. You know, they had a god for war, a god for food, they had a god for love. And this guy walks in and goes, boys, I've got this. So scrap all those assholes. I'm a one-stop shop for your gods. And he became the first monotheistic. He led the first monotheistic religion. He became your bloody Swiss Army knives of gods. I've got a few qualms with his leadership skills or some of the things he did. But I want to know, were these things, let's say, excusable in the climate of the time? Was he reigning in a rowdy crew? Was he, you know, or were they sort of understandable insecurities when you're the only monotheistic God in a world full of you know, multiple gods and competing religions? So I'm going to give you boys a bit of context about a few of the things that he did that maybe might be frowned upon now. And, you know, a lot of people might say that, yeah, that dick moves. But basically, the first thing he did, I mean, you can read this in Genesis 7:21, it's 23. In a real power play, God decides he's going to drown the entire population on Earth. Men, women, children, animals, fuck it, all of them. Drowned, dead. I mean, I think he put some in a boat.
Is this the Noah's Ark? Is this why Noah had to build the ark?
I think this was Noah's Ark. I mean, also this is on a tangent. I talked about this with a really good mate of mine the other day. Noah's Ark. We're talking about the Noah's Ark story, and he said to me, you know, I was wondering if people really believe that every species got on this boat, And so I went down a wormhole on it, and he started looking at, last week we were talking about wormholes as well, and he went down a wormhole on this, and he said, I could probably get my head around that, there's how many billion species or millions, 25 million, or is it 25 billion species of different organisms in the world. And he said, what's crazy, this whole time we've been led to believe that he got one of each, male, female, chuck them on the boat, had to be clean, or had to wear all this criteria.
Hand
Yeah,
sanitizer.
I don't think they were socially distancing on there. I mean, it must have been this is a big arc. I mean, I think Diamond Princess kind of scale. But what it actually turns out is, he said, it wasn't 2 of each, it was 7 of each. I mean, 2 of each, get my head around that, but 7 of each, I'm not bloody stupid.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I thought Noah's Ark
I
was
never
New
heard
Testament.
7.
I thought it was New
no,
Testament.
Noah was, he was old school, mate.
Oh.
So another couple of things that Old Testament God got into. So one day he decided to slaughter all of the Egyptian firstborn children just because their king was, this was in Exodus, this was with their king was a real, he was just stubborn, really. And so he just said, I'm just going to kill all of your firstborn kids. So he was the Israelites' God, and he was, one day the Israelites complained that he was killing too many of them. So just to be,
how's he killing them? How's he
they're
killing them?
just dying. I think, got him in mysterious ways. I mean,
Like strokes and just drop
yeah,
them.
exactly.
Righto.
And
Yep.
so they were complaining that he was killing too many of them. So he just went and killed 14,000 more just to be like, stop complaining. And another thing that he did was, I mean, this could be argued this was a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, it depends how much you don't like bullies. But he said, so in the book of 2 Kings, there's a story of how some kids are teasing the prophet Elisha, and God just sends down a couple of bears to dismember them. So tough, but fair.
He said
He
there
was
was
also
2 beers.
2 bears, just sent down a couple of bears. So these kids were bullying the prophet Elijah,
Ossos,
and he
like
just said,
animals.
yeah, some big ossos down.
Oh,
And
bears.
yeah.
I thought you said beer, like BEER. It's like frothies.
No, not prophet, no.
Couple of VBs to the boys.
Yeah.
So he was quite a fan of capital punishment. So basically, the Old Testament God saw that capital punishment was fit. These are the criteria that he saw fit to use capital punishment. So he said, anyone who is sacrificing to any other god other than Yahoo or him, they would get killed. So that was you were then should be killed as punishment. Another thing was persistent rebelliousness on the part of a child. So if a kid just keep sort of rebelling against authority, off to the stoning pile, or even a child who hit or curses his or her parents. Working on the Sabbath, that was punishable by death.
I don't mind the whole respect your parents side.
But do you think he took it a bit far?
Yeah, he didn't say he killed him if you did.
Yeah. He just said that they should be able to be punished by death.
Yeah, that's a bit harsh.
Working on the Sabbath, so that was punishable by death. Yep. Premarital sexual intercourse, dead. And how's this one? And the requirement for a priest to burn his daughter alive if she became a prostitute. That was from Leviticus 21.
And then New Testament came in with Mary Magdalene and just was like, "Prize all right."
Yeah,
nothing wrong with the prostitute at the Last Supper.
It definitely changed his tune. And they're somewhat less. The new gods, I guess, the new celebrated gods are somewhat less homophobic, slightly less homophobic, and slightly less kind of capital punishment focused. But I guess what we need to discuss though is, although it was like Old Testament God's actions make them look a bit vindictive. Can we put aside a few genocides and public stonings? Can we put that down to just a little bit of insecurity on this? At this stage, he was still fighting off the pagan gods, rowdy population. I mean, there's a lot he had to unpack.
Or can you file it under I wasn't there during that period, and he didn't do anything to me.
All right. Hey, you could. I mean, you could. But maybe a lot of bad things that happened to you potentially.
Not my problem. Not my problem.
Maybe you're.
It was a different era.
COVID.
It's like
you're running with COVID.
It's like an athlete that says you can't compare eras, mate. Like,
Yeah, I wasn't there in the 90s. Don't judge me. Don't give me a dope. Yeah.
I don't know. I like. There's other conspiracy theories about the Bible, and there's stories around. There's real transcripts, and then 200 years later, they come along and added a bit of pepper and salt, and then killed off anyone that talked about the old writings, and then it evolved into this other stuff. I mean, fuck, who knows? At the end of the day, who knows?
Yeah,
like
no one knows.
Half of these could be Hansel and Gretel stories or whatever, but who knows? At the end of the day,
if only half of them are Hansel and Gretel stories, then I've been significantly wrong. I mean, I think personally, well,
if they're true, obviously it's like Jesus. That's
if they're true, I've got a long wait in eternity ahead of me. I've got something coming.
No, so you can still do the what's the 7 things? What's it called? Go to heaven,
sins?
purgatory or whatever.
7 deadly sins, gluttony,
and all that shit. What's that called? What's that called?
So is that off that movie 7?
Yeah, it is.
yeah,
where they kill each other for their sins. What did he do?
Kevin
He beat
Spacey.
someone to death.
No, it's called. What is it called?
You can repent, basically, is what you're saying. You can repent at the last minute. You can live a hell of a life and then repent and go, "Oh, I shouldn't have done that."
I just typed in "steps to heaven." It's come up with some song from Eddie Cochran, "The Steps to Heaven," YouTube.
Do you really want to be that guy, George, that says God is a bellend? Like, I think on social media,
but I think what we've got to make the clear distinction here that we're talking about the Old Testament God.
Well, yeah, he needs to pull his head in a bit. He's a bit harsh.
But that's all you think. Okay, so you think that a few genocides, a few whatever, but maybe
as I said,
you're
comparing eras. Like, death back then was like nothing. It was like swatting a fly. Like, you look at what they used to do in the Colosseum. Like, for shits and giggles, they threw in poor people to get eaten by lions, and people are clapping like they've just scored a goal post height. People didn't give a shit.
Maybe that's one for next week. Romulus, Julius Caesar, legend of valiant.
Well, you can't process like different eras. Like, there's some fucked up stuff that happened back then.
Oh yeah,
but particularly in those formative years, like those sort of 100s to 500s. I mean, some crook shit.
It was a different time. Time.
Yeah, I just think that in the context of, there was a lot of good gods going around it then, a lot of sort of, Odin, he was the god of war. There's a lot of worthy gods that just, and I just felt
Zeus was a good man. A lot of time for Zeus. A lot of time for Zeus.
He was the god of God. I mean, but then you just get this new kid on the block walking in, throwing his dick around going, yeah, I can do the god of war, I can be the god of love, I can be the god of food. And then just decides that one day he's going to kill the entire population and then start again.
Yeah, but you think,
I don't know.
I mean, he was under some serious pressure. He made some bad decisions. Like, the stresses of the job would have got to him.
Yeah, but I just feel...
But he made everything. So it's almost like, you've made a lemon tart and it hasn't turned out how you wanted it to. Well, you're going to eat it or you just throw it in the bin? To him, he's like, just bin it and go again.
Yeah, but I don't... See, that's wasteful.
No, but he goes, well, what do I want to do? Do I want to have all these people and animals and shit that I'm not happy with? No, just get rid of them. Start again. He made it.
Like it's wasteful. I just feel like
copy and paste. He can do whatever he wants.
Yeah.
I feel like that we're moving towards a more sort of renewable society, eco-friendly. We're doing a lot of things like that. I just feel like it's wasteful. So I'm going to put my vote in for the first time ever on the segment as Bellend.
Well, yeah, I know. I'm with you, mate. I think that, looking at some of those things, like, it's just too harsh. You got to value life a bit more than that.
All
what do you reckon, Sills?
I like him. I kind of like him. I'm gonna go legend.
But fair? Legend.
Yeah,
all right,
good.
2-1.
I mean,
it's a different era.
Tough time.
Yeah.
Didn't affect, like we said, didn't affect me.
Hey, one other thing I saw that they reckon that the Mayans, they always said the world was going to end in 2012.
Oh, they fucked it up though, didn't
They
they?
fucked it up. Forgot to carry the one. It's actually 2020.
Yeah.
And
What
now,
date?
remember in 2012 when it came out, everyone's
End of
like,
the year.
what are they talking about? 2012, everything's fine. Whereas in 2020, when this shit comes out, people are going, oh, fuck. Oh, no. This has actually got legs. I'm going to buy a fridge, freezer, and just stockpile. I'm buying 80 rolls of toilet paper. Like, we've got to prepare for this shit.
Stock the baked bean cabinet. I saw today. I believe it as well because I just read about half an hour ago. There's a case of the bubonic plague in Mongolia.
Oh no, that's the last thing we need. The fucking
What?
plague.
When did that come out?
Half an hour ago or something.
Bullshit.
The bubonic. Apparently it exists. Apparently it happens quite often. I was like, is that the Black Plague? It's not. It's quite.
But isn't the bubonic plague just Ebola? Isn't that what I understood? That Ebola was just the bubonic plague.
I think it's a strain. Yeah, maybe. There's a few different strains of bubonic plague.
Now our research extends to the medical industry. If you ever need to hire people, if you ever need to hire people to diagnose any sort of illness, if you need someone to top someone, just email us at the Social Distance Podcast.
And we'll speculate between COVID and the plague. We'll give you one of those two options. What would you rather?
Okay, this is a serious question for both of you. Say for some research, they go, all right, well, we've got this asteroid and we know it's on Earth's trajectory and it's going to come in about a week and we're pretty much fucked. What are you going to do with a week left?
Just do like 7 episodes of the Social Distance Podcast.
Well,
potentially.
I was thinking this. You couldn't have a massive bender because you don't want to ride off 2 of those days being in a hurt box, do you?
You could
but
tie
you wouldn't
one
stop.
on every
you
day.
wouldn't stop.
Yeah. You could just tie one on daily. And I reckon 7 would be a push, but at no stage are you thinking, when you tie one on now, you go, you don't want to feel Sunday bad, so you launch on a Sunday. But in the back of your mind, there's Monday, and Monday's inevitable. You go to work on a Monday. You don't have that. You got a fucking asteroid coming at rate of speed.
Could you imagine if you went ballistic for 7 days and just did some of the craziest shit, right? And then the asteroid just missed us.
Well, then you'd just commit, eh?
I'd want to do. I would go on a 7-day bender, do real regrettable things. So that at the end of that week, I'm like, you know what? I need this asteroid to take me out.
Yeah,
ASAP. Can it come a day earlier?
It's like that scene off that movie Almost Famous. Do you remember that when they were in the plane?
When the plane's going down and he's like, I'm gay.
Yeah. And then they go, we're leveling out. And then you see him sit back in his seat.
Fuck. Just joking.
That's such a good movie, eh?
Oh, it's a belter.
Oh, speaking of movies, did you watch Back to the Future yet, George?
No, I've been busy. I've been so busy this week. Do you know what's been this week? Do you know what's made me so busy? Having you as my neighbor. No, having Bules as my neighbor coming down. How many calories in this? How many calories in that? And I'm like, oh god. So we've steered Bules on a path. So Bules come up here. Time to lock down. The first big races are suddenly quite close. And he goes, I got to strip. And I said, well, what kind of calorie? You just got to be a little bit calorie negative every day. And he goes, what do you mean calorie? I'm the king calorie negative.
What's a calorie?
So basically, actually, if you don't know what a calorie is, it's the amount of energy the amount of energy required to raise 1 ml of water 1 degree is 1 calorie, technically.
So how many calories you burn for a fart?
I reckon that'd be a good calorie and a good fart.
Because that would raise the temp by 1 degree.
The one I did the other day would have been 10 or 15, I reckon. We left that barbecue. Just like caused a landslide.
No, well, I'm actually interested in this, George.
You have to pay carbon credits on that. You had to. So offset you.
I'll bet you carbon.
So anyway, he
You've
So
cracked a good
I thought,
funny
oh,
there, George.
there's this thing here it's called MyFitnessPal, and it's
Yep.
this app, you know. And
I've
what you
got
do
it.
is you put in your food, and then you put in how much you put out, and you basically try and be negative. So, and you put in, so you know, say you might burn 4,000 to 5,000 calories on the bike, and you need another couple of thousand to be alive. So somehow yours suddenly
is that the
exactly
one?
you've got it there. That's the one, bro.
It always
negative
asks
are you
me
today?
It says, "Hey, you haven't logged your food today," and I'm always like,
Did
"Oh,
you say
fuck
'cause I'm
off, what is
embarrassed?
that?" No, because I bought these Under Armour shoes, right? And
Oh.
I connected the shoes, but then ever
So
since
you paying
then,
$14.99 for that app a month?
well, you got to pay for it a month.
Well, I don't know if you have to pay for all of it, but you do have to pay if you want some of the features.
Oh no! It's asked me to go premium. Oh, this is
No.
good. So I need to
Don't do
start
it. It's a
using
ruse.
this.
It's a real rouse. Don't go premium.
Okay.
So I had to do it as part of the thing for for our nutritionist. They said, I want you to do a week of it. So I learned how to do it, and it's actually turned out to be pretty easy.
Yeah.
And so we put fuels onto it, and the goal is if you want to lose, say, so a kilo of fat is 7,000 calories, more or less. And if you want to lose a kilo, a smart man will go, all right, 3 weeks or 2 weeks, I'll lose a kilo. So I need to be about 500 negative a day. Over 2 weeks, you lose a kilo of fat. Over a month, you lose a couple of kilo, whatever. So I set Fuels up with it. He comes down the first day and he goes, oh, what do you reckon of this? And showed me his phone. It's about 9 p.m. at night, just had dinner. Holds his phone up, minus 3,000. He said, oh, it's quite a lot to be minus, bro. You might want to
have a look at him.
You might want to chuck a couple on there. So anyway, all my life, Sam's given me shit about being a GC rider, about this. So the good news is he's turned into a full. The rate he's going. So your predicted weight by September. What was your predicted weight by September if you stay on your current trajectory?
No, it was 5 weeks. It was a week ago. It said your weight. So basically for Tour of Poland, my first effectively was going to be 69.5 kilos. I normally for you guys, I normally race at about 77.
So you're going to turn into a GC contender, the mountain goat.
Yeah, if he on his current trajectory, he's heading that way, or he's in chronic fatigue.
Isn't the problem though? You start losing energy and getting real foggy, and if you don't have enough calories.
Jonesy, you like a punt, Jonesy. If I was you, I'd get down to Sportsbet tomorrow and chuck $20 on me, GC Tour of Poland
for the GC.
Really?
Yeah,
but he's going to be 69 kilos. Thing is here,
hello, John.
The 180 he's done. The 180 he's done is he's gone from promoting how balanced he is in life and enjoyable to full calorie counting, and it's been quite there's been a bit of vindication in there for me, just because I'm storing a lot of, I'm just getting back on a lot of those times he's called me a dickhead for getting on the fizzy water, while he's, he might have a Coke and I go, oh, I might just have an Americano instead of a latte, a few less calories or something. And it's just been really satisfying for me just to go to eat something and go, what do you reckon was in that?
Yeah,
500.
You're like Mr. Miyagi.
How
he is wax
on, wax off. You've taught
teacher.
him. Yeah.
Oh right.
Hey, so one other question, George, is say I've got this app that counts like my movement, kilojoules and calories. Now, kilojoules, is this?
So here's the thing about cycling that's interesting. So and I don't know how it works with biking, right? But so the kilojoules on your bike, when you do a big ride, you do 4,000 kilojoules. So what that is effectively you've put 4,000 kilojoules of energy, which is only about 1,000 calories. So 1,000 units of energy.
1,000 kilojoules is like 250 calories or 300 calories or something.
Yeah. So it's basically divide it by 4 as a general rule.
Right.
You put that into your bike. No, but here's the thing, Jonesy. Humans are inefficient. So
no wonder I put on a kilo after running 35 days straight. I thought I was smashing it.
Yeah, you've been eating 4 times as much, effectively.
Yeah,
4 times
that's
out
right.
as well. So, but in cycling, you're only 25% efficient. So you need to do 4,000 calories of work. You need to burn 4,000 calories in your body to put 1,000 calories in your cranks of power.
Right.
So when you actually see, you know, because you lose it as heat, you lose it in efficiency, your joints, your breathing, your whatever. So what you need to do is then you look on your bike and say, I've done 4,000 kJs. That's actually 4,000 calories. I don't know about running. I don't know if you do 4,000 kJs running if you're actually, you know, only 25% efficient and then you've actually burnt 4,000 calories, or you can only get stuck into an apple after a 20K run.
No, it'd be the same, I reckon.
Yeah,
So
so
that's
I've got to stop going past. So some of the runs I've done have been 10K, but I'm so cooked at the end of it. I go past the milk bar and I get a Powerade and a sausage roll with sauce, and then walk the last 20 minutes. I've got to give that the ass.
A Powerade's all right, actually. It's not too
Yeah,
not too
but
bad.
Powerade's too much sugar. I've got to get the sugar-free one. Yeah.
There's only a couple hundred calories in the Powerade, I think.
Yeah, I think a sausage roll's no good for you though.
No, there's probably 1,000 in there, straight up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, yeah, you can look on your app, get on your little app, type in
Snag roll.
Snag roll, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the key is there anything free? What's the best free app to use to log your food?
Oh, no, that it is free.
That one.
If you pay for the
That
premium,
one.
yeah, it is free.
So I'll show you, like,
All right. So that last run, I burnt
So, like,
799 calories. Oh yeah. Yeah. Cool.
so
got a white chocolate blueberry muffin, banana, and Powerade yesterday on the bike.
Yeah, right.
Oh, nice. Where'd you get the muffin from?
Some cafe in LaSalle. It's good, actually.
Oh, nice.
Went for a ride
It's
with
good.
Peggy
So we've got
yesterday.
this awesome, a lovely lady. For people that ever come to Andorra, there's a little cafe up the top here in Soldado called Del Boss Cafe. Awesome lady, like tasty treats, everything. But she's, I generally, for some reason, have been having rest days on Mondays. It's just a coincidence. It works out that way. And every Monday she's closed. So she's missing out a lot. I think a lot of cyclists have rest days on Mondays.
Yeah.
So we could, if she's listening.
All right. So the key is just log your food and try for a week.
Yeah.
You only got to do it for a week. Because
You
once
need
you've done
some
it for a week,
scales, though. You need some kitchen scales so you can weigh how much food you're eating, so you know exactly how many calories are in there.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of work goes into this.
I've heard that the elite sportsmen, that's what they all do. They all weigh their food.
We're
It's
elite.
like
George and I,
yeah.
you'd argue George and I are elite sports people.
So
could
you're
argue
weighing
that.
your food now, Bules, for the first time.
Yeah, mate.
Oh shit. All right. So all the listeners, get on now. Sportsbet or whatever.
should we do a
agency.
challenge? Should we set up some kind of challenge for our listeners? Like who can come back the next week, send us a screenshot of their MyFitnessPal, and who can
Today's
be
paper.
with the who can be either the most negative or the most positive. Either extreme. This is probably a real irresponsible competition.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Hey, just before we go, boys, did you want to talk about? Obviously, we're in a bit of a shitstorm here in Victoria and Australia. We've been locked out from the rest of the states. Like I think they've closed the border with New South Wales. South Australia going to do the same, and this all really just blew up with the hotel quarantine. There's a couple of clusters with families and so forth in the northeast suburbs, but more specifically, that they contracted a company that were just fucking dodgy, like to manage the hotel quarantine security. And turns out that these security guards were not practicing social distancing. They reckon 6 people got tested positive from sharing a lighter when they were smoking bungers out the front. And then a few of the security guards were sleeping with people in their rooms that were testing positive as well. So absolute shitstorm.
Brothers. Wasn't the Moran brothers, was it?
No.
Oh, okay.
And then they were understaffed. They were like claiming that there was 30 people working it throughout the week, but there was only 20. So, yeah.
So I wanted to ask Jonesy, who's at fault here? When you say so what's happened is security guards manning the door. Someone's just flown in from overseas. Somehow, either via Tinder or just through a hole in the fence, they've decided that they're into each other. And who's at fault? Is it the security guard's responsibility to be like, hold on a minute, you need to do your 2 weeks? before we.
No, it's easy. I'll tell you who's at
Ugly.
fault. The state government, when they did all these setups, they haven't had any outbreaks anywhere else in Australia with these hotel quarantines because they've used defence personnel that are highly trained, that no one
not having a burn
don't
on
take
the,
any
on the
shit,
bed.
mate. You see a guy in the hallway that's decked out in army gear. I mean, you're not going to push the boundaries, and they know
Or you're
how
not
to
going to hit
practice.
on them and say room 408 later on. Are
Yeah,
you?
what do you reckon, Sarge? It's just not going to happen. So they reckon that they were offered military assistance and they didn't take it, and they've just gone through. It's like run by the unions or something. So they've just.
But do you
they've
think
cocked
it's
it
the
up.
responsibility of the quarantinee or the fresh traveller to
No.
seduce the?
No. It should have
You
been.
think they're free to go hammer at tongs?
No, it should have been the security guard if they were offered, or we don't know the situation, but they needed proper people that were well trained when it went and dialed up the serious nature of what they were doing. Hey, half of these people are testing positive anyway. Like, they come from overseas.
What about if it was like your dream woman? Like who's, I don't know, like Margot
Yeah, perfect
Robbie or
10s
something.
come in.
It was
Perfect
like,
10s come
say
in
you're,
from Ibiza.
yeah, or like not even, but like a famous person like Margot Robbie or something. You're a security guard and Margot Robbie goes, hey, 408 later on tonight. You're like, oh, but COVID. Fuck.
But Sam, if you're military, they're going to say, no, sorry,
But
mate.
wouldn't you do it and then just quarantine yourself for 2 weeks? You just go, all right, I'm committing.
Yeah,
but I'm also committing to 2 weeks quarantine afterwards. Or
Well,
I'm
she
committing
said
to the last week of Margot Robbie's quarantine with her.
Yeah,
she said swing by for an hour. You go, let's make it 14 days, love.
Well, if you were just a serial pest and you didn't want to leave, that creep style, you could just say, well, sorry, I'm stuck here for 2 weeks now.
Have you got Uber Eats, Margot?
Yeah, that's it. It's win-win. But anyway, they're starting to shit themselves here now because we've got 650 active cases and we had the most increase overnight. There was 127 yesterday, and same time a month ago we had 0. So at one point there they thought, oh, we've beat this. And then they had these protests.
And stopped testing.
No, they had this big protests, obviously with the Black Lives Matters and things like that. But there was 10,000 people at that. Footy came back. There's all these things that were showing people, and the numbers were 0. Looks like we've beaten the worst of it. And
They've
it's
done the same. They've locked down a few regions in Spain in the last couple of days as well. Been a
Just
couple
down
of
the road from us,
outbreaks.
bro. Just close to us,
one
they've gone locked down.
One here in Catalonia and one over in Galicia on the other side of the country. They've locked down. So yeah, the restrictions haven't gone complete lockdown where people have to stay inside or quarantine, isolated. So they can still go about their day in their town under the new normal. But the township itself is closed. You can't come in, you can't go out. So
yeah, so they've done that with 30 postcodes or something in Melbourne at the moment. Same thing. They've locked them down. But
So you're not obviously in lockdown?
No, but the regional areas is hardly any cases at all. So the problem is they're just a bee's dick off doing the whole state, I reckon. And then like, all same with wife DeSavo, like, geez, had to be bloody Victoria, didn't it? It's always this sort of state pride, when you see New South Wales and, they doing something that they're struggling with, you're like, oh, I feel bad, obviously, but it's New South Wales. Victoria, we're fucked.
But I hear there's actually a bit of like the rest of Australia is kind of a little bit smug, a little bit laughing about this Victoria thing because Victoria got on top of it early and said, nah, stuff you. None of you South Australia, you stay in your lane. You stay over there. Yeah. You're not coming here, mate. And they were just up on their high horse and we're going to have live sport and we're in front of this.
Yeah.
And then they've come in with the security cards kind of sprayed it around the wrong place. And now the rest of the country who are looking all right have gone, sorry, mate. You had
for sure.
chance.
Yep.
It's a real anus crime, isn't it?
It's an anus crime. Yeah.
So wonder if Mike Whitney's involved in any way.
Hey, Bills, I reckon the last thing we should leave the punters with is a bit of a request, yeah? We've never done this ever on the show, and that is publicly like a pledge to spread the word and get the word out there.
Oh,
We
no,
just-
what are we spreading?
And in seriousness, guys, we ask your help. Just like COVID, where you've got to look after everybody. Wear your mask. You know, what you do immediately affects the person you. The same here. Share this podcast. Tell your friends. Reach out on social media. Like us. Subscribe. Follow. What you do affects everybody around you. And live this show. Please.
You will feel as good, if not better, than when you walk past someone who's busking that plays a banging tune that you go, yep, no, here's 20 cents. This costs you
You
nothing.
only give 20 to buskers. That's
Nothing.
low end. I do a big effort for buskers.
No, I've given more than 20. I've given 50s.
You give a few.
I
No, you
gave
can
50
go.
euros to the Rose guy. But seriously,
That's right.
you know, we're making a real effort to be here. We got better things to do, you know, but we're making a real effort.
I'm not going to do it now.
Well, or you could go, why don't you go the Old Testament God and say, listen, if we don't get X amount of shares, we're just shutting it down. We're killing the podcast.
Just that Rose story. Can I quickly touch on that?
Yeah.
I think people might be interested about this. So speaking of buskers, there's a guy that cruises around Girona selling roses, and he's a bit of a pest actually, but he's all right. You know, he's friendly
It's
enough.
great. And
Great
fluoro
guy.
necklaces and rings.
Yeah.
Remember, I
Yeah.
bought a few of those.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Glasses, the sunglasses.
Yeah.
He's kind of dialed it back just to roses for a while.
He sells cactuses now as well.
And
Does
he
he?
once was wearing, and he wears. Sometimes he'll wear there's a Russian guy that wears the Radio Shack kit as well. But sometimes the guy will have a bit of cycling apparel on just because there's a lot going around. Anyway, and what year was it you made the pledge to him?
Oh, it was about 4 or 5 years ago.
2015, I reckon.
So in 2015, Sam had a skinful and told him that every time didn't have any money on him. So the guy came and said, "We want to buy a rose for your girlfriend. Stop being a shit lover. Buy a rose because
And this guy's got some front.
Here.
This guy's got some front. You could be at the back of a restaurant, right? Doing your own little thing. And it's like clearly, you know, leave us alone. And he will go up there and make you feel like shit. If you
He'll
don't
pull up
buy
a table.
rose.
He'll pull up a chair to your table. Sit there until you buy one. Ask
He'll
you how your
literally
family is and
dangle it
say,
under the nose.
I got a lot of time for him. He's a legend, that guy.
But I believe the story goes that one night you didn't actually have any money on you. You said, "Mate, I honestly don't have any money, but I promise you, every time I see you in the future, I will buy a rose from you."
Mhm.
And now this guy just goes out hunting,
Looking
dudes,
for you.
looking for him.
Hey, he's on the other side of the square and he just zone in.
You
There's
go.
a guaranteed sale there.
And you've been single for a long time now, and you're still buying roses.
It's like The Bachelor. I'm like The Bachelor, you know, when you hand the roses out. I just give it to random dudes on the street.
Is that why I
Why
got so
not?
many restraining orders?
Right, boys.
All right. No worries.
Okay.
Yeah. Fuck, it's been a
Cool,
long one,
boys.
this one.
See you later.
Yeah.
Sorry about
Yeah.
the microphone, boys. There's internet
It's all
shit up here because I'm actually stealing George's internet. He lives below me, and I'm just taking his because I'm too tight to pay for mine. Got to spend it on
Maybe
roses.
a battery for that clock next time as well.
It's 10:10 last time we did it.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Same time, same
Perfect
place. Okay.
All right.
See you later.
Spread the word.
Spread it, please, guys.